Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are embarking on a journey through history, but, not the kind that was carefully planned out in a laboratory or plotted on some old dusty map. No, we're looking at four incredible, completely accidental discoveries that literally rewrote the history books.
So what exactly happens when an ordinary, everyday routine uncovers an impossible ancient secret? Because we aren't talking about multi-million-dollar expeditions here. We're talking about ordinary people, fishermen, farmers, engineers, just stumbling upon the unimaginable when they least expected it.
Here's our roadmap for today. First, secrets beneath Lake Michigan. Second, a deep-sea ancient shipwreck. Third, the fish that cheated death. And finally, awakening the Terracotta Army. All right, let's dive right in.
Part 1. Secrets Beneath Lake Michigan, 2007.
All right, set the scene with me. We're in the freezing depths of Lake Michigan. It's 2007, and archaeologist Dr. Mark Hawley is out there running sonar, basically hunting for a lost shipwreck. But instead of a ship, his screen picks up this really strange anomaly. So he dives into the freezing water to check it out, and what he finds is an impossible, perfectly straight line of massive stones. Now, nature simply doesn't make straight lines like this, right? They absolutely had to be placed by human hands. Following this line, he swims a few hundred meters until he hits this massive, perfect circle of stones that ends abruptly right at a deep trench.
Well, naturally, the media just went into an absolute frenzy. Was this a 10,000-year-old mini Stonehenge? People were theorizing it was some kind of ancient spiritual monument. But experts like Dr. Hawley, they thought the media was completely missing the mark. He believed the real secret was actually in that mile-long straight line, and that it served a highly, highly practical purpose.
And you know what? The mystery was finally cracked a couple of years later, in 2009. An anthropologist from the University of Michigan, John O'Shea, published this research after finding similar stone lines about 300 kilometers away in Lake Huron. He identified them as drive lines. Basically, these are ancient stone structures built thousands of years ago by native hunters. And their whole purpose? To manipulate and funnel the natural herding instincts of wild animals, specifically the caribou.
It is just brilliant how this ancient trap actually worked. So here's the play-by-play. Step 1, caribou have this ingrained instinct to walk in straight lines, so they naturally just follow the stones. Step 2, they are effortlessly herded right into that perfect stone circle. And then step 3, hunters are hiding behind the rocks at the very end, and because of that deep, dead-end trench, the animals are completely trapped. It was this incredibly effective ancient hunting strategy that had just been hidden underwater for millennia.
Part 2. A Deep-Sea Ancient Shipwreck, 2023.
Okay, we're shifting gears from icy lakes to the Mediterranean Sea. A British oil ship is out there scanning the seafloor, about 55 miles off the coast of Israel. They send down this advanced robotic vehicle to take photos a staggering 1 mile deep. Now, at first, it's just endless sand, but suddenly they spot a really suspicious mound. I mean, how did hundreds of clay pots end up a mile deep in the ocean? The Israel Antiquities Authority investigated and realized this massive pile of jars was actually acting as a cover for a 40-foot-long ship buried right there in the sand.
Using these specialized robots, they carefully extracted some of those delicate jars up to the surface. Researchers noted they likely held agricultural products, stuff like olive oil or wine. But the real jaw-dropping moment came from the carbon dating. These clay pots were 3,300 years old. Let that sink in. That makes this the oldest deep-water shipwreck ever discovered in recorded history.
And this discovery completely upends our understanding of human capability. Previously, historians firmly believed that ancient sailors only navigated safely near the shoreline, always keeping land in sight. But this proves they actually possessed advanced navigation technology to cross the treacherous open ocean. It is honestly mind-blowing to realize that 3,000 years ago, people were successfully building ships capable of surviving the extreme, dangerous waves of the million-square-mile Mediterranean Sea.
Part 3. The Fish That Cheated Death, December 1938.
All right, picture a freezing morning in South Africa. A routine fishing trip ends with a fisherman hauling in this bizarre 5-foot-long shiny blue fish. He takes it over to the experts, and they are literally in absolute shock. This thing was a coelacanth. Now, based on the fossil record, scientists knew this exact fish first appeared 400 million years ago, but they presumed the whole species was wiped out by the exact same asteroid that killed off the T-Rex 65 million years ago. Yet, here we are in 1938, and one is caught alive and breathing. No way, right? I mean, the coelacanth is practically an alien. Its anatomy is wildly different from normal fish. Check this out.
It has 4 fleshy fins that it moves alternately, kind of like a horse walking. It's the only living creature with a jointed skull, which allows it to lift its upper jaw entirely just to swallow large prey. It hunts down in the pitch-black depths using a special organ that detects faint electric signals. And to survive that crushing deep-sea pressure, its skull is 99% fat. Oh, and instead of laying eggs, it hatches them inside and gives birth to live young. It is just an absolute marvel of survival.
Part 4. Awakening the Terracotta Army, 1974.
For our final story, we travel to the small Chinese village of Xi'an. During a terrible drought, these desperate farmers decide they have to dig a new well by hand. So they're digging for 3 days straight. About 15 feet down, Farmer Yang Jifa's shovel hits clay. He scrapes the dirt away, and peering out from the dark earth is a sculpted face staring right back at him. Now, rather than celebrating, the villagers were absolutely terrified. You see, they firmly believed that pulling statues from the earth was a terrible omen of bad luck.
Well, word got out. The Chinese government heard about the artifact and took over, kicking off this massive excavation. And what they uncovered was just overwhelming. Over 8,000 unique clay statues. This was China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang's immortal army, buried there to protect him in the afterlife. And these weren't just mass-produced blocks of clay either. Every single soldier had distinct facial features, different hairstyles, and totally unique uniforms. They were even holding real, functioning brass weapons. To this day, it remains one of the greatest and most valuable archaeological discoveries in the world.
But, we really have to slow down here for a second to recognize the bitter irony of this final mystery. As the quote goes, the farmers made the greatest archaeological discovery in history, but lost their land because of it. The villagers' deep fears of a bad omen, they came entirely true. The government stepped in, confiscated the land to build a massive museum over the site, and those poor farmers lost their village and their farms forever.
So, look at what we've explored today. A brilliant underwater hunting trap, an ancient shipwreck that totally rewrote maritime history, a dinosaur-era fish that basically refused to die, and a massive buried immortal army. It really makes you wonder, what other ancient secrets are currently waiting right beneath our feet? The next impossible discovery could happen tomorrow, purely by accident. Keep your eyes open, stay curious, and thank you so much for joining me on this explainer.